Alright, welcome back. I'm working on melting down some vanadium. Gonna make a vanadium crucible. It's got a little bit better heat limit to it than what the ceramic does. So maybe we won't melt down our crucible. I've already started the process a little bit. It's going to take a little bit of time to do. I processed through some of the vanadium magnetite, which you get in the magnetite and gold vein. Vanadium magnetite in Gregtech 5, you could centrifuge two and get one vanadium, one magnetite. And right now in Gregtech 6, when you process it and you get to 1811 heat, which you notice says it melts at 1997. When it gets to, I guess, that point, I thought it was 1811, which is the iron point. But when it gets to that point, the magnetite actually dissipates, and you're left with just vanadium. And vanadium melts at 2183. If you remember, the ceramic crucible will melt down at 25, which we've seen it do last time. So we only got a little over 300 to temperature in Kelvin to deal with to keep it from melting down. So we got to be really careful on how we do this to make sure we don't melt it down. I'm going to grab some saplings here. I've got some logs on me. I'm going to make me a couple planks, because you can use any of these things to burn in the burning box. We're using coke right now. That way we can get our dark ash out of it. Saplings, logs, charcoal, planks, that will either get you nothing or just ash, which cannot be used to process iron out of magnetite, limonite, banded iron. Alright, you see it just popped down there? That means that the magnetite is now burned off and we're down to just the plain vanadium. And if we had left that go, it would eventually get to a melting point, but we want to process up all this we have, so we're going to go ahead and just throw some more in there and let it work off some more. Every time you throw some in, it'll suck up some of the heat that was in your crucible, just like if you added some water or noodles to boiling water, the boiling water will lose some of its heat and will stop boiling. And same thing with this, you're adding mass to the crucible that is at room temperature, so it will take the room temperature item and try to I think it's thermodynamics that basically equals them out. The heat from this will be added to what you threw in, and they will get to a certain point. This is all science and mathematics that I don't really mess with. I know the concepts behind how it works, but you really don't need to try to figure it out for this, in my opinion. Some people do. Some people like to know exactly how much of this is going to take out how much heat and things like that. It's just not the way I choose to do it. I kind of like the old cooks that just throw stuff in a pot and see what you get out. Okay, it popped down again. So we're going to throw a little more in here. We need 7 plates to make a crucible, 5 to make a mold. This will hold 16 total if it's all the way full to the brim. Now, we were about half, maybe 3/4 the last time I threw some in. So we're probably going to get about 10 plates out, but I have some nuggets and some tiny and 1 regular vanadium dust. This is equal to 1 plate because this is vanadium, not vanadium magnetite. Get that when you process through the vanadium magnetite. Now, you cannot use this until you get a macerator because that is sand and you can't really hammer sand. It's just going to go through it. It's not going to break it. Make another flint and tinder here. Always do it backwards. Take out our dark ash, which we will use to process up our magnetite. Now, because of the problem we had with the crucible melting down and me finding out that graphite can in fact be used for its carbon content to process magnetite just like dark ash, I've decided that I have 23 iron dust and some iron here. I think I got another iron there, which I do, so I could get one out of there. We're going to just smelt down the iron itself and turn that into steel rather than trying to do it like we did last time. The first time I made magnetite and steel, or iron and steel out of magnetite, I actually smelted it down to the iron bars or iron ingots and then threw it back in the crucible, got it up to the wrought iron temperature, added the graphite, and that's what I should have done this time, but I was trying to save time, save coal coke, and basically made a mistake. And with Gregtech, that's kind of what you do. You make mistakes, you waste stuff trying to save stuff, and you go on with your day. And I really got to watch this right now because, like I said, this has got to get to 2183. And when it gets there, we got to get the stuff out relatively quickly so we don't melt down our crucible again. I'm going to use up a lot of this wood stuff I have here for this last little bit so I can be really picky on how much heat I'm putting into this because I do not want to melt it down. Charcoal will burn less amount of time than what coal coke will. Charcoal will burn for about the same amount of time as coal, I think they're exactly the same. But coal coke will burn longer. Oh, there we go. Now this is probably going to get a little warm. I think I'm going to pop off my armor actually. Oh yeah, that one really hurt. Gonna have to really wait between popping these out. And see, our fire is out, so we're not heating anymore. And if this solidifies, then we'll have to throw a couple saplings in, heat it back up. But because this is such a high temperature, really gonna have to wait and let it cool good before we pop it out of there, else we're gonna get burned. I really need to get me a hazmat suit made. Have not got around to doing that yet. I have some rubber ready to go. Or I have sticky resin. I don't have the actual rubber made yet. And I got some wool. And I got some glass. Main thing I don't have that I have showed you guys is making iron bars. Now, I do have iron bars that I brought back from spawn because I really don't need to make iron bars. So I brought one back. Well, actually, Junior brought it back. He'd made a trip over there, and I asked him to grab me one while he was there. And so I have everything to make it. I just want to show you guys the whole idea, and I'm trying to get this iron done. I've had so many people asking about processing iron, and I really want to get it shown in full how to do so. Ouch. Come on, get this done. Back out of heat again. And, oh yeah, that was a bad one. See just how long you gotta wait? Now if I had my hazmat suit on, I could just pop that out immediately, because hazmat suit negates all heat damage. It is absolutely crappy for armor. A full suit gives you like 2 armor bar ratings, so you don't really want to wear it around all the time outside where you're going to get shot or slapped or blown up. It's not going to protect you from that, but supposedly you can swim in lava with it. It's not something I personally have tried or would try, because, well, it's a rubber suit and it's not going to deflect that much daggone heat. That's a little excessive, but supposedly it will work. We have our... Oh, I got a hammer on me. We have enough to make our crucible. So, achievement get vanadium crucible upgrade. Now we're going to see if we can get enough out of here to at least get us 1 mold. And as we go through our magnetite, we'll get more, or we will go for the next upgrade which will need plates as well. I'll show you what that is in a little bit after I get this done. That's another thing you'll find out when you get to the low voltage. Not only is it so much better having the electric heater because you can automate it and keep it from overheating, but you really save on iron and flint, not having to make flint and tinder all the time. There's 9. We need 12. We have 9. There's 10. It looks like there might be one more in there. Come on, I want to take this out. Oh, cannot take the next one. Okay, we got a little more in there. We might get enough for a mold. Now, we don't have to use the mold. We can use ceramic molds. Like I have a tungsten back at my spawn area, a tungsten crucible, and I have vanadium molds left over from when I was using my vanadium crucible, and I use them with it. I have a separate tungsten crucible that has tungsten molds, and there's our 12. We got exactly what we need and a little bit extra. Go ahead and pop these last 2 out of here, or this last one, and see if there's one more in there. I'm going to attempt to show all the different. Wow, that was an exact amount. That's unusual. I usually never get that lucky. Ooh, that one hurt. Okay. Now, so we use up a little bit of our residual heat that's left over there. We're going to pull out 12 iron. And we're going to throw that in here. That will suck up a lot of that heat that's still in there. But that will keep us from having to heat it up quite as much. And there goes the dogs because the mail ladies arrived. And we're going to go ahead and heat that up. While that's heating up, we'll make our crucible here. Now, this crucible will use a file. I think it's a wrench actually. Now I think about it. Because it's plates, you're not really chiseling the ceramic, you're putting the plates together. So I do believe it's going to be, there we go. And you'll see it's got a heat temperature of 2728. So there we go. And now we'll put this one over here. Alright. And I think the mold still uses chisel. So let's check that real quick. Got 5 of these. a chisel, and a hammer. And we get our first vanadium mold. Now you'll notice that this says to get it, it's pickaxe level 3, which means we will need an upgrade. We will need at least a cobalt or diamond level pick to harvest that. Same with our crucible. So they are going to stay right there where they're at until we get to that point. Alright, that has not melted yet. Probably not going to be too hot. And we got a pretty good load of it in there, so we're going to go ahead and throw another one of them in. Put our dark ash in here. And I will actually chisel this out into a plate mold right there. But you guys seen me make molds before, so I'm not gonna probably do that on camera. I'll just do that before I use it, since this is something you can use to make steel. I may actually make my steel over there. Depends on how this works. I might just make the steel right now, or I may make the wrought iron. I'll probably just go ahead and make steel. Give us for them. Because we're going to have, 3 levels of heat that we'll see change here. First level is when the iron melts, it'll turn to the whitish iron color. And then it'll turn to the cream fleshy color, which is the wrought iron. And then we'll throw in the graphite dust, and it'll turn to basically just that color right there, just a more liquid color. And that will be our steel, and that's when we'll pop her out of there. But while that's smelting down a little bit, this is my sticky resin. We're gonna stick that in a furnace over here. We got 14, so 8. We'll throw those in there, and we'll stick these in here with a piece of charcoal. And that will smelt to our rubber bars. You get 1 per doing that, so it's not as good as if you threw it into an extractor. But we don't have an extractor over here yet, so this is the way we got to do it. And let's come up here where we can watch this a little bit. See if I can turn. There we go. Oh yeah, I brought up that burning box because I wonder if I can use it. Hello, weather. Bronze is 24 heat output, Ingvar is 16, so we will lose a little bit of the output, but we will have 100% efficiency. So that's why we're using the Ingvar over there instead of the bronze over here, or will be. And see, iron bars in Gregtech have a different recipe. And there we go. It uses any kind of iron rod and a wrench, and it makes your iron bars. So you use actually less iron and you get half. So it's the same amount, because if you did it in vanilla, it would be 16 bars for 6 iron ingots. This case it's 8 iron bars for 6 iron rods. And you just use this rod mold right here and smelt up your iron, make your rods, and put it together. But if you hover over this instead of having to type and you hit use, that will show the different recipes that can use the iron bars. And if you go to the IC2, you'll see the scuba helmet, which is iron bars, 4 rubber, an orange dye, and a piece of glass. So that's what we need the iron bars for. And then we hit use on the rubber, and we go to the IC2, and this is the hazmat suit, this is the pants, and this is the rubber boots. That is the full set that we need, and that's what I'm going to work on here in the next little while. If you noticed up there, we got our iron cooked down to where it had just liquefied. Changed back now, but we had gotten it there. And that's the melted iron. And if we still have heat going, which we do, watch this a little bit more, it will turn to a fleshy color, kind of a creamish color. And that will be our raw iron. Gotta love sitting around watching a pot boil. Thunder. Which, by the way, I would like to say, as Junior had brought up in our last episode, one thing I really do miss that I hope Greg puts back sometime is the lightning rod. It was his original mod for IC2. I do believe it was back in 1.25 maybe. Way back when. That was the original mod he had made for IC2. It was the original Gregtech mod. And it had been in all of the Gregtech renditions through 125, 13, 145, 147, 152, 164. I think it was definitely in 164. And then when we went to Gregtech 5, it disappeared. Alright, you see it changed colors. We added our graphite there. Still gaining heat. And now we probably will have a little bit of extra here. But if we let it cook just a little bit longer, we can go ahead and test it. Alright, that's still wrought iron. We will throw these 3 in here. Probably not going to be enough heat, but we only need 2 steel plates, so we can do a little bit of testing to see where our heat's at. So like I said, we don't want to get this too hot too quick, so we don't want to melt down another crucible. Main thing about melting it down isn't the loss of the crucible, because this is ceramic. It's not a real big loss, but we will lose all of the iron that is currently in it. And we don't want to do that. So we want to be a bit careful. Try not to lose it. Try not to melt it down here. I'm going to let this burn up a little bit more here. I'd have to check the book, but I think it's like 2100 before we get steel. I don't want to keep an eye on it. The extra graphite's going to keep it from visually showing, because graphite doesn't melt till freaking 4300, something crazy like that. Alright, we're still getting wrought iron. So actually, let's do this. Let's get another piece of charcoal. Take a little bit of heat damage. Throw these 3 back in here. I said 3. I say, get your butt in there, boy. Get rid of some of this ash we're carrying around here. Always make sure you keep that ash cleaned out of there. It's always important to have a clean ash. And actually, we can attempt this. I think. I don't want to do it. I was going to say we can attempt to pull a piece out of there, which will take the graphite out of our thing, but I don't want to burn up all my stuff. And drop this stuff off in here. It's been a while since I did this without a hot soup. And make sure we sleep here. I don't sleep in Minecraft past days, so I don't think I've used that bed. But, oh, yep. See, we've got ashes. And pop another one out there. I'm not real sure why it's showing as ash, but that's what it do say. But to be safe than sorry, and so you guys can see, I'm just throwing meat everywhere. Just so you guys can see what it's supposed to look like here when it turns over, and so we don't melt another crucible down, I'm gonna take the chance, lose a little bit of heat, letting it cool down here. I've got a little bit of charcoal I can throw back in. Okay, now we're at wrought iron scrap. So now it should change when we get to steel. We should have a visual change, which will be a little better. It's always nice to have that visual confirmation and know that what you want is what you're going to get. And you'll notice that it doesn't change back from wrought iron to iron. It's once you get wrought iron, it's wrought iron. I think the only way to really get it back to regular iron, which I don't really know a whole lot of purpose to do, most recipes will use is ore dictionary to use any iron, whether it's wrought iron, meteoric iron if you have Galacticraft, deep iron, which I think is factorization. Okay, there's our wrought iron. any of those different irons will work for most recipes. Like we could use wrought iron to make a cauldron. We can use wrought iron to make a bucket. I might have actually pulled that out of there. This is starting to really perturb me here that it's not showing visually the way I expected to. So I kind of expected that to change already. Like I said, it's been a while since I did this manually. I normally do it. Let's see. Oh, that's a crucible. It's not the one I want. I want the alloys. And let's see, steel. 2087. And wrought iron is only 2011. So yeah, we should definitely be getting steel out of this. Kind of perturbing me. We ain't seen it yet. What are we gonna burn? What are we gonna burn? We still on? No. Okay. Throw that in there. Throw that in there. That's ash, ash. Oh my goodness, did I really do that? Did I throw ashes in instead of graphite? Oh my god, if I did that, and we've been going through all this because I'm an idiot, I'm gonna feel, well, like an idiot. And it is quite possible that I grabbed the wrong one. And I'll bet you that's exactly what I had done. I don't have anything else to burn here. I don't know if cactus will go in here. It will. Yep, cactus will burn. It's not going to get us the heat we need because cactus burns rather quickly. But we can come out here real quick, pop us off a whole bunch of Junior's cactus here. And we can take this in there and throw it in. Funny little story about that dog over there. A couple months ago had been out venturing around and had an extra bone. Wanted to pick up something, not sure what it was, and didn't want to waste the bone, leave it laying around. So I decided to feed it to a wolf that was there, and he actually took one bone, turned over to a dog, and followed me around for a little while. Problem was, I had boated to get to where I was across the ocean, and we had a new player join from the watching the videos yesterday, and he chose to set his area up in the area where I had been running around with that dog. And so when he activated that chunk, it activated the dog, and he TP'd to me, and kind of freaked me out because I walked in and there was a dog sitting on my bed. And I was asking everybody, hey, who's got the dog? Nobody could tell me whose dog it was. Let's see what we got here. Still not hot enough. Alright, we're gonna have to break down and go cut down a tree. Got a whole lot of durability left on this ironwood double axe here, but oh, wait a minute. Oh yes, forgot all about having that in there. There we go. Now we got some heat. I actually thought with what I had, I'd have enough, but I guess with all the messing up and screwing around I've done, I've used up everything but the little bit of coal coke I got left over there. But at this point in time, really don't want to use coal coke because we don't want to get too hot. Right clicking right now on the mold. Taking a drink. Seeing if we get something out here. Just to check our temperatures. Alright, we're getting wrought iron. That's still heating up. Now the way you can test this, since we know we got wrought iron out, if we click it with a wrought iron plate, if it's wrought iron, we will get a wrought iron plate. If it's not, then that means it's either cooled off or, I don't know if we can get, no, or you will have steel. Now, apparently I had gotten it just to the wrought iron level and it cooled back off. Get rid of this ash. Now, there is some uses for ash. You can turn it into a block that you can place in the world. It's kind of a darker, almost gravel sand texture look. If you have forestry, you can use it for the propolis-based bituminous peat. You can use peat in these, but you want to be careful if you do, because they burn for like 4 times what coal or charcoal do, and you will get, oh, there we go, we have steel. And hopefully, good, the fire went out. Alright, so there is our first piece of steel. You're going to very carefully pop this out. And there is our second one, so we now have the 2 steel we need to make our thermometer. The worst part of this is now over. The only thing we have to do now, I knew that was going to happen, is get our red alloys made. And the red alloys will not be nowhere near as bad because we won't be working at or as close to meltdown temperatures. Go ahead and get us a little bit of wood. Turn this all into planks. I'll run our booty down here. And let's see, this video is up to about 45 minutes. Right around where a lot of mine tend to run. So, since we got what we were trying to do accomplished, I think I'm gonna take the rest of the steel out of here very carefully. Try not to kill myself. And call it a day. Well, call it a video, not a day. I'll probably be back in a few minutes making another one, showing you guys how to make the thermometer. But I think I'm going to end this video here. So, have a good one.